Well, thanks for checking out these clips, a special feature on Rosario Dawson and her amazing mum Isabel. And this all came to be on my first trip filming for the web show. This is in 2002. And I was hanging out with my friend Anthony. We'd just been filming at a cafe, and about a week before I left on the trip, I was looking on the internet and read a story about Isabel and Rosario and the Lower East Side. So while I was walking with Anthony, after having our coffee, I started telling him about it, and I said, you know, you don't know where Rosario Dawson lives, do you? And I swear to God, it was like a couple of minutes after this, we were on the same street. He turned around and goes, yeah, over there. So he said he knew Isabel, so he went over and said hello, and we went back the next day for a chat. But here's a little sample of Rosario doing her thing on the big screen. She's an amazing talent, Rosario, and it blows me away. It's like 1,000,000,000 to 1 that we could be on the same street in New York. And Anthony just says, yeah, she lives over there. Because this day we were going to meet Jake LaMotta, but the next day we came back into town to meet Isabel. Oh, that's good coffee.
Of course it's good coffee. Cuban. I am a New York Cuban Rican. I must be impressive with my coffee.
Wow.
Actually, it's really funny because I bought the coffee to give out to my friends, and then I had a cup. And I was like, fuck,
See you later.
Yeah, you can come over and have a cup, but you ain't buying shit. Are you crazy?
Yeah, so from the get-go there were a lot of laughs, and Isabel had so many amazing stories talking about her son Clay and of course Rosario.
This is my daughter Rosario. She is an actress. I think most well known for her role in Kids, which was her first film. And then later He Got Game, which she did with Denzel Washington. And then her biggest role to date, I believe, is Val in Josie and the Pussycats, which did not do extremely well in the box office, but is a cult hit because it's so hilarious that you just, you know, you watch it at home and you just like laugh, watch it over and over and over again. It's hilarious. And I live in a building on the Lower East Side of Manhattan that we have squatted for over 18 years. I personally for 16 years.
Can you just explain that to people in Australia that hear that term of squatting in an apartment, because it's something that's sort of termed to America, but just take us through that sort of...
Well, squatting, you know, squatters, people taking over land, that happened years ago. That came when people squatted the United States of America and were squatting land. Since most of the land was taken in New York City, the only thing you can squat is a building. And this particular building was squatted because the owner in, I believe, 1977 got a loan from the state to renovate the building. He decided that he was going to sell the building to the tenants for $1, take the bulk of the money and go back to Yugoslavia. So people not knowing how to run a building, and back then drugs was very prevalent, soon realized I don't have to pay rent. Well, if you don't pay rent, the gas doesn't work, the oil doesn't work, the water doesn't work, the electricity doesn't work. All the systems get shut down. If you don't have anyone maintaining the building, things break down, and you know, so little by little people were moving out, and a lot of the drugs at that point was moving in, specifically crack cocaine and heroin.
So definitely not the most family-friendly place for kids on the streets, but some of these stories are just absolutely amazing.
When we first moved in, there was nothing. There was a hole in the living room because a man had been murdered on the roof. And this was before we had taken over the building. And his body was brought down to the 4th floor and burned in what was then our living room. So I had a spiritualist come in and check the room and see if it was okay to live there. Was there any bad ghosts or anything? And she told me no, because the person was already completely dead, thank God. And fire is cleansing. So his soul or whatever was set free, and she said it was fine. So there was no disbursement of negative energy in the space. So we continued to renovate. My daughter at the time was 6, I believe, or 7, and my son was 2 years of age. And we had no running water, no heat, no electricity, no windows, and no door. We had police barricade that went around the hole in the living room until we were able to get the plywood and be able to support the beams that had burned from the fire.
And how long was that there for?
A month.
Right. Wow.
1 month. With a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old. But they knew not to put, you know, go past police barricades. There were police. I'm sorry. NYPD, I apologize. Back in the day, we were really poor, and the kids knew not to cross an NYPD barrier. So we took a couple. And thank you very much.
Yeah, she's just an amazing woman in so many ways, Isabel, but here's a little snippet of Rosario and some of her thoughts in words.
I grew up in a squat in the Lower East Side, so I kind of like lived that life. My mom moving myself and my brother in when I'm 5, 6 years old into a building with no water, heat, or electricity.
Yeah, so it's just an amazing story, and I really feel that Rosario is on the big screen for a reason, to inspire so many people, but here she is in a casting for Rent.
Nervous. I had this whole thing planned out for Out Tonight where I was going to be like doing kicks and doing the whole thing, and instead I just sang the whole thing with like the paper like this.
She sang 2 songs, and as she was walking out the door, I ran after her and told her she got the part.
It just automatically back on the phone with my dad, just being like, oh my god, I got it.
So we'll meet Rosario soon on the web show, but back to her amazing mum, Isabel.
I was born in the Bronx. Actually, that's a really good story. Where I was born.
Yeah.
It was February 11th, 1962. Yes, I am 40. I know it's hard to believe. Told you I was not shy. And oh yeah, and I got a shaved head because I donated my hair. My hair was down here, and I donated it. A friend of my daughter's, Frederick Parnell, and his wife do hair and makeup, and he donates his time and finds people who have cancer, and he donates his time to make wigs for them. And he looks for people who have hair to donate it. And so I took care of my hair for a year for someone who had hair just like mine. And this woman, whoever you are, God bless you, I hope you love the hair. I really took a very good care of it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so I remember sitting there just being blown away by these amazing stories, but man, check these two out.
But the day that I was born, February 11, 1962, there was a snowstorm of 22 inches. And my mom decided, or I decided, I was going to be born. So she tells my dad, and my dad's like, no, you're not, you can't, you know, they called the hospital, the ambulance couldn't come, you know, because too much snow. So my mom says, I know I'm having a baby, because this was her 3rd one. And so she walked to the hospital. My dad called the hospital, let them know that she was on her way, and that she was really in labor. And my mom gave birth to me on the steps of Lincoln Hospital in the Bronx. I was caught midair. Wow. There was blood everywhere. It was awesome. My mom said it was really gross. It was so cool. So I'm the only one that has the like really cool birthing story. Everybody else was normal. They in the hospital bed or whatever.
So there's the story of Isabel coming into the world, and you wouldn't think it could be topped, but maybe with her daughter.
Great stories. My daughter, when I was giving birth to her, I used to live in Brighton 6, like I said, and I was having the labor pains, and the night before, and I wasn't dilated or anything, and the lady was really mean to me and sent me back home. And so the next day I tell my mom, I'm having labor pains again, I need to go to the hospital. And you could see it in my face that it was real. I mean, my nose was like this big, you know, it was like, and the baby was like moving everywhere. And so my mom grabs my suitcase. This is no joke, this is like a movie. My mom grabs my suitcase, runs down the stairs, gets in the car with my aunt Gachi and my cousin Rosie. They get in the car and they drive off. Oh, and my little brother Gustavo. They drive off. I'm still waddling down the stairs. I get outside. They're gone. And I'm like, okay. So this is not funny. So, but luckily for me, the hospital was only 4 blocks away. So my mom and my aunt, they go up Neptune Avenue and they make a right to Ocean Parkway. And Ocean Parkway, it was crowded. So they couldn't turn around. They figured out when they got to Ocean Parkway that I was not in the car. Now they want to turn around and come and get me, but they can't because it's like crowded. And they're on the far right lane and they have to go to the far left lane, go all the way around. I mean, it was just like a nightmare. So I'm waddling and waddling and waddling, and I get to Grady High School, and the boys are playing football. And I'm walking through the field. I'm like, you know, and then the coach goes, Isabel, get off the field. I'm like, I'm having the baby. And the coach, all the guys stopped. And they're like, Coach, she's having the baby. And it was practice. It wasn't a real game. So all the guys decided they're going to walk me to the hospital and make sure I get there. So I walk into the emergency room with like 20 guys in football uniforms, right? And the lady that had helped me the night before was there. And I'm like, I'm having the baby. And she's like, you're not ready. You're not having the baby. Who's the father? And all the guys went, I am! You know?